Today we are learning how to graph parabolas. So first let's start out with making a table like we learned when we graphed straight lines. So the equation for a parabola is anything with an x squared in it. We've been dealing a lot with x squared lately. Now you're going to see what the graph looks like. And one thing we can do is just make a t-table where we choose some x values, plug them into the equation, solve it for the y values, and then make a graph. So my first x is -2. I'm going to put it in for x, which is -2 squared, which is +4. Be careful when you enter this into your calculator. If you just type in -2 squared, it's going to give you -4. And that is not the right answer. On your calculator, you would need to type it in with a -2 in parentheses. Because remember, squared means a number times itself. So when you square something, it'll always end up being positive. So -1 plugged into x squared would be -1 squared, which is -1 times -1, which is 1. Plug in a 0. 0 squared is 0. That's an easy one. Plug in a 1. 1 squared is 1. And plug in a 2. 2 squared is 4. So you'll notice that the same numbers appear on either side of the 0. And the same thing happens on the graph. So now let's graph these. -2, 4 is really the point -2, 4. So I go to -2 on the x-axis, 4 on the y-axis. -1, 1 is the point -1, 1. 0, 0 is the origin or the middle. 1, 1 is over 1, up 1. And 2, 4 is over 2, up 4. Now we connect those points, and they form a parabola. This point at the bottom of the parabola is called the vertex. And that's a point that you're going to have to list when you graph. In this case, the vertex is 0, 0. Now notice with a parabola, if I cut it in half right down the middle, it's called symmetric. Okay? One M in symmetric. And that simply means if I folded this paper in half, that the graph matches up on both sides. Okay? So if there's a point over here, there has to be a point over here in the same spot. And if there's a point over here, there has to be a point over here in the same spot. They are symmetric. Now, we're going to do a little exploration activity today where you're going to use the Desmos graphing calculator, which is a calculator that's online, to graph the following parabolas. Then you're going to sketch the graph on the graphs provided, and then you're going to tell me the vertex. So here's the first equation, y equals x squared plus 3. Now, on the Moodle page for today, you will notice there is a Desmos link. Follow my arrow right here. Click on that on your Chromebook, and that will take you to what's called the Desmos graphing calculator. Now, you can check the scale here. You'll notice that there is no 1 on the scale here. It goes 2, 4, 6. If you hit the plus button, actually, let's hit the minus button. There we go. Now we have a graph where you can see basically the numbers 0 through 5. Now, if you hit down here in the left-hand corner, there's a keyboard button. And now it's just like a graphing calculator. I'm going to slide the picture up by clicking on it and moving it up. And now you can type equations into this upper bar on the left, and that will graph whatever you type in. So our first equation was x squared plus 3. So we type in x squared plus 3. Okay, and there's our parabola. So notice the vertex is at 0, 3, and then the parabola goes up on each side. So what I want you to do on your paper then is draw in the vertex at 0, 3. And then, if you remember back to our first parabola, from the vertex we went over 1, up 1, and that was a point. Well, that's the same thing that happens on this one. Go over 1, up 1, and that's a point. Then you go back 1, up 1, that's another point. There's our parabola. And that's all you have to do to graph it. Now, I'd also like you to list the vertex. So the vertex of this parabola is that bottom point. And the coordinates are 0, 3. So notice, adding 3 to x squared simply move the parabola up 3. You could call this plus 3 the y-intercept. Now, the second equation is y equals x squared minus 4. We're going to go back to Desmos, and we can erase the previous parabola equation. And now we're going to retype in x squared, this time minus 4. And now you'll notice the parabola, instead of going up 3 like last time, it simply moved down 4. So the vertex is at 0, negative 4. So we go back to our paper, graph the vertex at 0, negative 4, and again, you can go over 1, up 1, back 1, up 1, to give you a couple points in the parabola, and then you graph it like that. Then you need to tell me the vertex, and again, the coordinates of the vertex are 0, negative 4. So you'll see this negative 4 again is like the y-intercept. It tells you where to start your parabola. Now, on the rest of the pages of this exploration, you're going to continue this pattern of typing in the equation into your Desmos calculator, and then getting the picture, and then transferring it to your sheet. And you will learn things about graphing parabolas. At the end, you will be expected to graph 9 of your own parabolas into a Moodle worksheet. My recommendation would be to bookmark the Desmos calculator, because we're going to be using it a lot. And to bookmark something, you just click on the star. Then it should appear in your bookmark bar. Okay? Good luck.